I've spent most of the day preventing myself from saying Shabbat Shalom to everybody. I don't normally wear a suit. This is like, I didn't take it off from yesterday. I'm basically still wearing it from yesterday. So it's an honor to be here. Members of the Kol Nishma community, guests, it's wonderful to be with you. Usually we call this moment when the rabbi speaks Dvar Torah. Right? And today, this is truly a Dvar Torah. A moment to speak for a moment about Torah. And the word Torah is probably one of the most expansive words that we have in Jewish tradition. Sometimes it means something very specific. In fact, this upcoming week, we're going to read Zot Torat Zevach Shlamim, by which we mean this is the teaching about this particular set of laws having to do with a particular sacrifice. That's the word Torah. It can mean a set of laws about a specific thing. But of course, we know that the word Torah can mean much more than that and is often used even in the Torah itself to refer to something larger, something bigger. The teachings that Moshe, in their totality, brought down with him from Sinai. And it's not always clear what the Torah means when it refers to itself that way, the Torah of Moses or the Torah of God, but it probably means something like what we now mean when we say Torah sometimes, which is the 5 books of Moses from Genesis to Deuteronomy, the end of which we just read. But of course, the word Torah means something so much bigger and greater than even that. Because over the millennia, since the giving of Torah on Sinai, the word Torah has expanded to encompass an ever-widening lists of the traditional texts of our people. All of the Tanakh, all of the Hebrew Bible can be called Torah and is called Torah. All of the rabbinic writings from the 1st century CE and forward for centuries with the Talmud and the Mishnah can be called Torah and should be called Torah. And all of the medieval commentaries of our sages in all of the places that they lived and all the legal work that they did to bring the halakha, the Jewish law, down to us, all of that is Torah as well. And so too are the amazing words of our Siddur, the prayers of our people in 1,000 different languages from 1,000 different places that we collect in Siddurim and Machzorim and in the Haggadot. That too is Torah, and so are the poems that have graced our people for so many centuries, from Solomon ibn Gabriel in 11th century Spain to Yehuda Amichai in 20th century Israel. All of that is Torah. Turn it and turn it and turn it, says the sage Ben Bagbag, for everything is in it, and the Jewish people have taken that advice to heart. In every place that we have been, in every language that we have spoken, we have, as a people, have undertaken to be the caretaker of this extraordinary body of texts and tradition. The Torah, by which I now mean the scroll that is standing behind me, was translated early and often. It was translated into Greek for the Jews of Alexandria who did not read Hebrew. It was translated multiple times into Aramaic for the Jews of Babylonia and Eretz Israel who could not read Hebrew, and on and on. In every land we have lived, in every language we have spoken, we have undertaken to translate this book and all the things that we mean by Torah so that we would always have access to the wisdom that is contained therein. Torah, no matter what exactly we mean by the term, was never intended to belong to a small clique of priests or scholars or sages or rabbis. It was always meant to be the communal property of the Jewish people, held in trust for every generation to give to the next as well. And nothing better symbolizes the inheritance that we have been given and that we mean today. No symbol expresses that inheritance better than the Sefer Torah, the scroll of Torah itself. the scroll upon which is written every word of the 5 books of Moses, in each and every case lovingly and carefully copied, so that each and every scroll of Torah is exactly the same, and yet, as you heard from David, somehow entirely different. The Midrash Tanchuma says that Torah is black fire written on white fire. And that extraordinary image, I think, does an amazing job of helping us to understand what is so complicated and beautiful about this deeply earth-bound scroll that we have. A scroll made, after all, of animal skins and ink and written with a scroll, and yet somehow containing wisdom that is deeply esoteric. According to our tradition, there is wisdom and there is knowledge contained in every single letter of this scroll, in every jot and tittle, and even in the blank spaces around the letters and the words. The Sefer Torah is among our most material objects, and at the same time, it invokes our most mystical yearnings, which may be why we treat the Sefer Torah with a powerful mixture of awe and familiarity. We rise when it rises. We are careful about touching it. And many have the tradition of kissing it when it passes by. A stranger who walks into our synagogue on a Saturday morning could be forgiven for imagining that the object itself contains some sort of holiness, and they probably wouldn't be wrong. Yesterday, when we were in this room for Shabbat morning services, Miriam was leading the Torah service. And what that meant is that at one moment, she stood before the community holding this particular Sefer Torah and said the words that Bruce mentioned in his speech, Shema, in front of this entire community. And like Bruce, I couldn't help but think in that moment of all of the places that this scroll has been. Some of them we know, and some of them we don't know. All of the ways that this scroll has served the communities for which it was an inheritance and a treasure, including, of course, the Lincoln Park Jewish Center, and the many hundreds and thousands of hands that have held that scroll, and the many lips who have kissed it, and for that scroll to make its way from all of those places to here, and to end up being held by a woman who grew up seeing this same scroll on a different bima, in a different community, is by itself a miracle. And an example not just of the journey of this specific scroll of the Torah, but of the much wider and more expansive Torah that it represents. This Sefer Torah, like all Sifrei Torah, is both totally familiar to us and yet somehow entirely beyond our ability to explain or contain with words. And now, friends, it is the task of Kol HaNishama, just as it was the task of the Lincoln Park Jewish Center before us, to be a home for this Sefer Torah, for this particular scroll with its specific history, and to be a home for Torah, the widest possible definition of what it means to study and to learn and to debate the texts and the traditions of our people. That is, we now take upon ourselves in this community the awesome responsibility to be the kind of place where a Sefer Torah can be both totally at rest and yet eternally in use. We are honored, deeply honored, to be the next stop on this journey for this Sefer Torah. And we are honored by the trust of the members of the Lincoln Park Jewish Center and the Celts and Pomerantz family who made it possible for this Torah to make this stop here with us. We are honored and appreciate the gift that we have given. And we promise to venerate this scroll and to give it the care it deserves for the journey it has taken to us. But we promise as well that we will never allow it to be so precious that we will be afraid to turn it and to turn it and to turn it and to find the wisdom contained inside, because we know, as our ancestors knew, and as God willing, our descendants will know, that this Sefer Torah is black fire on white fire, and we need its light to show us the way. And so, friends, this prayer: may we continue to read from this scroll in joy and in peace and in happiness, and may we never allow Torah to depart from our mouths.
Amen.
Thank you all so much.